So Fat TikTok says that the BMI is fake trash and should not be used as an overall indicator for health. So let's dive into that. Hi, I'm Lisa. Welcome to my Fat React series where I'm going to be reacting to different aspects of health culture. This includes the fat acceptance community, the fitness community, and overall health and beauty trends. My friend Graphically Alex and I have been talking about this for a while. He started his version of this on his channel, and he's encouraged me to give my own take on it as well. But I do recommend you check out his channel. He's really funny and he really calls out the BS when he sees it. So you can find a link to his channel in the description box down below. Full disclosure, I am already not a fan of the BMI as an overall measurement for health, but I don't think it's for the same reason as these people. So let's get started with my first video and I'll give you my thoughts on it. By the way, it's raining outside. I don't know if my mic's picking it up, but just in case it does, that's what that weird sound is.
Yep, let's talk about how the BMI is racist.
Okay.
The BMI was invented in the 1830s by Adolphe Quetelet, who was a Belgian mathematician and astronomer who was not a doctor and had no medical training. He was a eugenicist, and if you don't know, eugenics is the deeply racist and ableist belief that the best people should weed out the undesirable people from the gene pool.
Yeah, eugenicists, not a good thing. I mean, I think we can all agree on that.
For example, the Nazis used eugenics as justification for the Holocaust. Adolf created the BMI as a eugenics thought experiment in an effort to discover the ideal man. So he created an equation that generated a number based on height and weight. And then he created categories that did not exist before this and assigned all the numbers to a category.
Yeah, so that is one of the big issues that I have found with the BMI. Not that I knew this history at all before watching this video, but definitely it was the making these arbitrary categories, which, you know, it's not that arbitrary if you're super morbidly obese, like I used to be, but it's definitely arbitrary in the sense where do you draw the line between overweight, obese, healthy weight? That I think is a little bit less clear, but I think people often will use this to kind of justify, like, see, you can be healthy at every size, and you can be healthy at 300 pounds, and you really can't. Maybe you don't feel it in your 20s, but you'll feel it in your 30s. Definitely your 40s.
The subjects he used were exclusively white Western men. Quetelet's index was used as scientific justification for eugenics and for the systemic sterilization of people who were disabled, poor, immigrants, or non-white. The BMI was largely forgotten about until the early 1900s when U.S. life insurance companies realized they could use it to make more money by charging higher premiums to people with higher BMI.
Yeah, so it kind of ended there, but basically what she was saying was that, you know, it was used for a lot of racist purposes. Like, you know, we don't like racism, obviously. But it was also used to create higher premiums for health insurance. Maybe that was true in the past. I don't really know. You know, I am only 33. But I've never had an increased premium for health insurance due to being overweight. I don't know. Maybe that's just because of my company. But it's with like the way my health insurance works, and I have very, very good health insurance. Like I have like the top tier that you can have like in the country. But the price that I pay is the same price that everybody else would pay. They give you a chart. They say this is a set amount. This is the price you have to pay for what level of health insurance you want. And so I just picked the highest tier, which is the most expensive due to my personal health needs. But it wasn't like altered based on my weight. So I don't really know who's doing that. If they are doing that, I mean, that's a whole other conversation. So that was part one, and we're going to take a look at part two.
The BMI has since become ubiquitous and is now used to deny medical care to patients even if they did manage to get health insurance somehow.
Yeah, so I've never been denied medical care. I've been denied, say, quality medical care in the sense that a doctor's personal opinion kept me from getting the medical care that I needed, but once I changed doctors, and yeah, that can be hard because at the time this was happening, I was on Medicaid, and that created a barrier. That was... that was hard, but I was able to change doctors eventually and get the medical care that I needed. It just took a little bit more effort. But yeah, I've never been actually denied medical care. I've been given, you know, here's the thing too. I said, yeah, maybe I have for this, and I changed doctors. But to be fair, those doctors were offering me medical care. It just wasn't the medical care that I wanted. So yeah, the actual saying like, get out of here, kicking your butt out the door because you're fat. No, that doesn't happen.
People of color are disproportionately affected by these policies as they are more common outliers because, again, the BMI was created for white men and literally no one else.
I will say there is a little bit of truth to that. I've definitely, you know, it's not just because it's like black people, but just people with bigger frames, like, which could be a black person. If they have a larger frame, they won't fit into that average metric. So there could be a little bit of truth to that.
One of the problems with this is that the most influential factors in body composition are genetics, geography, and socioeconomic factors.
So I'm always like really suspicious when they say genetics is the biggest indicator of body composition. So yeah, it'll give you your overall shape. Yeah, that's genetics. It'll tell you how big your hips are, how big your boobs are. But your genetics does not make you 300 pounds. That's something you did to yourself. And it could be definitely due to hormones exacerbating that, but it's not taking care of those hormones. It's overeating because your hormones are causing weight gain and overeating. But your genetics are not making you super morbidly obese.
For example, the average person from Samoa is going to have a vastly different body composition than the average person from Japan. We know this. Body diversity.
So I would actually look at the socioeconomics of Samoa and what kind of food people there are eating, because, you know, when you have islands that are like colonized like Samoa and a lot of the Pacific islands, it's really, really hard to get resources to those islands. So what ends up happening is you end up importing a lot of processed food, a lot of seed oils and things like that that are cheaper, easier to make, and are generally not healthy for you. So I wonder if there is a component there. I don't personally know, but it's something that I would look into further rather than saying people who are of a larger size are genetically made that way. And the same goes with Japan. You know, I lived in Japan for 6 years, and it is true. I saw them eating all the time and they just weren't gaining weight, but they were also doing other things like walking everywhere and constantly getting exercise. And if they found themselves gaining weight, they would stop eating. They were constantly aware of how much they were eating, constantly aware of their body composition, and it's just, they're more of a health-focused country, in my personal opinion. So, like, I really don't think she knows what she's talking about when it comes to Japan. They take extra measures to really take care of their health and their fitness.
Has always existed throughout history and today. This is not new. So, because the BMI was created specifically excluding people of color by a eugenicist, and this is the screening tool we use to determine who gets healthcare and what type of treatment they get, people of color are overwhelmingly denied health insurance and medical care and are misdiagnosed and mistreated at far higher rates than white people are. Far higher. So, yeah, the BMI is racist.
And like I said, I've never seen anyone denied actual health care, especially since wasn't the whole thing with the Healthcare Act that we passed was you cannot discriminate based on pre-existing conditions, and that would include obesity. So maybe in the past, yeah, but you can't deny someone healthcare today because they're obese. That's ridiculous. Yeah, I'm sure it has racist origins. I'm not going to deny that, but I think her conclusions are not correct for the reasons I have previously stated. Okay, so this person has made another video, and just so you don't know, it's Hannah Talks Bodies. She does a lot of these videos on TikTok, and yeah, right, look at the next one.
Anytime I talk about the problems with the BMI, the most common response I always get is, okay, well, what should we use instead? And the answer is nothing.
Wrong. We should use body fat percentage.
Get rid of it and replace it with nothing. We literally don't need it.
Okay, I think I know how this video is going to go. She's going to talk about how weight is not an indicator of health. And that's wholly untrue. If you're a little bit chubby, you could be significantly healthier than a person who's a little bit underweight. But if you are over 300 pounds, and I use that metric because I am over 300 pounds, and I used to be a lot heavier, and I'm almost under 300 pounds now, just to be clear. Yeah, if you're not healthy at that weight. I'm not healthy at this weight. I need to lose weight. That's why I'm actively trying to lose weight. You can follow my weight loss journey on my channel.
If a patient needs to be assessed for an illness, doctors use diagnostic testing to do that. If a patient has an illness, the doctor will treat that illness.
Yeah, she's right here in the sense that, like, they should do diagnostic tests. So if you're coming in for, like, hey, I have this problem, they should treat you regardless of your body size. And I understand that's the thing they say healthy at every size is about. I haven't seen it used that way in practice. But when it comes to things that can be exacerbated by your weight, yes, weight should be a factor. And this would go for, say, arthritis, any kind of joint pain, any kind of structural pain in your body. Like, I personally have a disease that causes me a lot of pain. And it's definitely exacerbated by the fact that I am overweight. By the way, rain's gotten even louder. It's just really heavy outside right now.
If medications need to be dosed based on weight, there are formulas that already exist to calculate those dosages. If a doctor wants to educate a patient about the benefits of health-promoting behaviors, they can and should do that with all their patients. There is no medical scenario where the BMI or any tool like the BMI is the most effective, most specialized tool for the job.
Yeah, I do not think the BMI is the best tool for the job, but body fat percentage is. And it is because, and it's something I've talked about in a previous video, but you have to have a healthy body fat in order to conceive a child. It's just the way it is. If you have too much body fat, you are more prone to different diseases. Yeah, they will like to use the excuse that if you have more body fat, technically you can recover from diseases faster. I'm like, yeah, sure, if you have a little bit more, but not if you have significantly more.
None. We already have systems and tools in place to meet whatever a patient's specific health needs may be. Categorizing and pathologizing patients based on weight is and has always been lazy medicine.
I think if you're trying to solve someone's problem with only looking at their weight, yeah, that's an issue. But if you're using it as just a single, as a factor of the many, I don't see a problem with that. I've definitely dealt with really stupid doctors who have said, well, you just need to lose weight and you'll solve your problem. And it turned out I had a horrific disease that had nothing to do with my weight. So yeah, those are times where definitely doctors just need to look at the whole picture. It's like a holistic approach and definitely not just focusing on your weight. So I totally get that. And I do think it's changing. That's very much an old school mentality of doctors who are lazy, but not looking at weight at all. I think you're just being delusional there. Okay, now we're gonna look at a different TikTok person. I have no idea who it is. Let's check it out.
What's a scam that's become so normalized that we don't even realize it's a scam anymore?
The BMI scale. When you understand the history behind this, you will probably laugh in your doctor's face the next time they want to hold you accountable to the number that they're coming up with. So it was invented 190 years ago by this guy. And he was an astronomer, a mathematician, a scientist. He was all these things, but he did not work in the field of medicine. What? You want me to tell them?
So yeah, they're going over the history of the BMI again in this video.
Okay, he was also a racial scientist. That's why when he was coming up with his equation to figure out who the average man was, to a racial scientist, the average man is white and only used the measurements of Scottish and French male participants.
Yeah, that's definitely a problem. I'm not going to deny that. They should probably, if they want to use the BMI today, they should probably recalculate it using people from all different cultural backgrounds and different geographic backgrounds just to make it more even. But here's the thing too, if you take it from the average population, where is the average population? It's in Africa and Asia. Those people are significantly more thin than the western part of the world. I think what would end up happening is the average man size would go down. So there's a little bit of flaw in logic there.
So no cultural diversity, no representation for women or children, just them. But here's where it gets worse. In 1998, they stopped including filters like age and sex, which is crazy because women need to carry more fat to be healthy.
Yeah, she's absolutely right there. And yeah, they should definitely take into account age and sex in these charts, because this is a story I tell often. When I was 13 years old and going through puberty and they were applying the BMI to me and saying I was overweight and I actually wasn't, and it contributed to the complex I had concerning my body. Yeah, that was an issue. And also women do need body fat, and they need more body fat than men. They need at least 22 to 28% to carry a healthy baby. And the higher that is, the better, when it's between 25 and 28%. But of course, if you were to have 26 to 28% body fat, they would tell you were fat due to the BMI scale. That's wrong. Okay, so now we're going to our next video.
In 1998, millions of Americans became obese and overweight overnight. Sorry, what now? Yeah, and the National Institutes for Health changed the BMI classifications based on research funded by weight loss drug companies.
That does not surprise me at all. I mean, the medical industry, the pharmaceutical industry, and the government have been in bed with each other forever, right? So you always have to look into things yourself. Don't blindly trust any advice you get. See who's paying for that research. And that's something they actually teach you in research classes. I talk about all the time, I went to grad school. We took a research class in grad school to do our research. And they look and say, who funded the research? that goes back to like, what was that saturated fat is evil study, and it was paid for by the sugar industry. I mean, that's a little suspicious, right? And I'm not necessarily demonizing sugar here, but definitely they threw saturated fat under the bus to save themselves. So yeah, already I'm like I said, I was never a fan of the BMI to begin with. I don't think we should throw it like out with the bathwater. I'm also seeing a trend here of like those first 3 videos we watched where it said we shouldn't use anything to determine health related to weight. And I'm like, no, there's stuff that we can't use.
Saying more right now. The classification change was based on a World Health Organization report that was written by the International Obesity Task Force. Want to take a guess at who funded the research for the International Obesity Task Force?
Yeah, was it drug companies? Tell me it was drug companies.
Not weight loss drug companies. Oh my god, you guessed it. Who would have thought that even the obesity epidemic that conveniently supports the diet culture industry was made up for what? For profit. So never forget that.
Yeah, okay. Well, the video cut off there, but yeah, not surprising at all. I think a lot of it comes down to money. This is my conspiratorial mindset. I do think the reason why people are overweight today was due to money. I think they pushed an unhealthy food pyramid on us due to money. They said, eat grains, we produce grains, we want to support the grain industry, we want to support the corn industry, bread industry, wheat industry, things like that. And so they said, eat, like 12 servings of bread a day? That's insane. It's completely and totally insane. So not surprising, this is also true. My personal opinion on the BMI, I talk about this in a vlog, is that we should use BMI to track trends. Like clearly if you have BMI 50, I mean, unless you're like the most insane bodybuilder, that's unhealthy. If you have BMI of 27, even though it says you're overweight, I think it's more of a gray area. You would have to like look at your body fat percentage, look at other measures to see like your overall frame and size to really find an indicator of your health. But like so for someone like me who's trying to lose weight, I was at like a 55.5 BMI and now I'm at like below 50. I've been doing a good job losing weight. It's definitely like I can see the actual progress, that my body is changing composition and that I'm losing weight effectively. Okay, I have one last video. I'm gonna check that out.
Grandma, someone called me obese on the internet.
Oh, they shouldn't call you that, honey. You just got a big butt.
Yeah, so that's exactly what I'm talking about here. This girl is not obese at all. She looks 100% completely healthy. She looks toned, her legs look great, she looks like she works out, and she's just really tall. She's a very large person. And there's nothing wrong with that. She's large in a sense that she's structurally large. She's definitely not fat or obese in any way. And this is the person who the BMI scale fails, and doctors should really take that into account when looking at someone like her. When looking at someone like me, yeah, I don't really care. All the metrics are going to say that I'm not healthy, and I am not healthy. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed that. This was my first TikTok reaction video, and I hope to do a lot more. I kind of hate TikTok, so let's hate on it together, right? Okay. Well, anyways, talk there. Bye.